Hello, America. This is in modern countries, modern nations. This is about a breaching method that is very simple. It's only extensive. And the best way to keep it simple is to allow mandated law. But since founding, mandated law was not allowed to be, they didn't allow it followed. They didn't allow it to be followed, mandated law. That means where people are forced to follow the law. Originally and still, per a breaching method that was entrenched here, it had everybody individually grouped and together, contained within what is still effectively tall locations further and further, where it has no how it already had originally all formal positions like of campuses of each age, and it's all database relationships simultaneously, including further other ways. And originally instilled in all roles, blaming all this causes and stays on other things and others, and then defending fact treatments and sequence treatments and identity treatments in that. This is per a breaching method that knew that we would do this. Each individual of the human species identity of volume individually grouped and together without realizing that, without fathoming the existence of the proverbial devil here, archetypal organized crime method. Therefore, that one that has the experts on the law, experts on each of the sciences abridged, and they can't afford logic with no criminal foreign influences to have free speech at the same time, to not have our identity stolen and that already standardized. So each modern nation has evil locations, areas, and states, all as victims, all victims blaming other things other than themselves. And that's what is exploited. Because then they need to hide life aggressions. They need to value hurt, each age of correlation nature in relationship to sequence truth, the finite little details, what is active, what is progressive, and what is identities value simultaneously, value/value progression. So we have had an abridged quality of fact treatment nature, which is evidence of how the Constitution is valued abridged per a breaching method that effectively recorded has everyone's opinions originally still contained. Science is sharing identity. This is the same way if you're an offensive on football, you don't want to stay contained by the defense. You want to be able to move the ball and keep moving it consistently forward. Otherwise, you have to even go farther forward. So same thing with boxing. You don't want to be contained within the range where the guys, the extent of his punches are, and yours are, when yours is a different distance. For example, a shorter fighter is gonna have a style of physics unfolding as a value/value progression that is going to be looking and wanting to be at a different distance when they're exchanging punches at the same time than the taller fighter is going to be. See, the science is sharing identity. English was revealed to teach this. This is first sound science, then it is sound theory, music theory. See, but we have theory offensively with physical delusions and with fact treatments that are criminally foreign influenced. And now people are going to say, well, as each of the sciences individually grouped and together, they say, well, that's not my job. I didn't make the world crazy the way it is, which it has been since semi-ancient times. Crazy, not naturally. This has each modern nation in a semi-ancient trap, self-valued roles with it. What hurts us the most? Now we have passions and emotions recorded being pretended by courts and by police forms associated with Sandy Hook, which was in Connecticut. No, it has recorded ties directly and indirectly to houses on my street, further involved with child offenders through administrations, former director of the FBI down, his co-defendants in a 2006 case are involved with a whole bunch of other cases with courts and with police forms recorded involved with them, with their kids also involved on off child offender campuses, recorded and further recorded and confessed then and then. Now they've been putting fake transcripts. They've been preventing people from free speech. In the background, their roles with identity thefts, with interbranch, and with overt foreign and domestic collusion with bad people online, pretending to be others online. Well, they say, well, how do you connect that to us? They recorded, confessed, and demonstrated this. They also say they say things that are fake, lies, and the opposite at the same time. And while they're recording fake things in the databases further and further, speaking predicate acts, our stewards, dozens of people from the Britain Superior Court. Now they criminally prevent and have prevented writing through time. Now these are also like Central Connecticut State University has roles with the training of prisons that is involved with them with crimes with all locations. Because now they needed to hide lie progressions that they already did criminally. Then they had to hide that in cases. This is this engineered modern nations, all locations, areas, and states, all database relationships, private, off the record, interbranch, and overt criminal enterprises. Hundreds of nations shared nave like this together as one individually grouped it together. And overt criminal enterprises, and then a further one bonding all these people, kept rules with how each identity, the ground location, is involved with this other nature of organized crime, worse than war crimes. It is completely a sequence relationship and a simultaneous nature, identity of relationship, self value, that is perpetually incapable of fathoming, means to defend each person's, no matter which title, location, nature of what they have, their fact treatments and their sequence treatments, identity treatments, time treatments, and us at the same time. They are recorded, forced by nature to be reliant upon criminally foreign influence premises and treatments and sequence treatments and identity treatments. So not only has no one allowed proper discernment of all that is there right there to be discerned easily by Jim Crow laws. You don't have to even go into the specifics of it. You have to understand where and how people are using and have used knowledge as the science is abridged, as collusion with them, as collusion with each identity of industry originally instilled, criminally foreign influenced, self-valued roles with that for time impositions, all kinds. Not by accident. Our very identity of volume, humanity, is being exploited. Free speech offensively forbid. So each identity of the ground location, each elections location. These are other shootings at schools that have ties to the people intercities of Connecticut, involved with interbranch predicate acts, wrongdoing, sequence shifts, identity thefts, frauds, also with private. Now, these are doctors tied to various natures of courts involved with their family members, also with predicate acts, which are serious crimes. And now they had to hide that, and they do this by criminally preventing writing. I'm sure his Justice Judge Napolitano is unaware of it, but they have him involved pretending that courts exchange writing. Where they don't, they recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. They forged names, switched names of arresting officers, putting whole fake arresting officers in fake locations and ties between arresting officers and people that they began this with a promise to appear. No. Now these are predicate acts on and off the campus of Central Connecticut State University through political administrations and with military families. Whole bunch of sources of mine recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. Same ones who are being influenced, sense and sensibilities, no recorded to pretend other, but they'll tell you this when you ask them. So please, Fox News, do what's right. On off Fox Connecticut News. There are two Mendez police. There are two domain police, their families, and a whole bunch of people tied to them with prosecutors and courts criminally involved, all kinds of bonded ways through time. So they're pretending. These are also people involved with private school kids who come onto the classes of public schools and they act in relationship to people in the same grade who are never going to see each other. The only reason they know their name is because they're going to see a brief moment when other people use their names ahead of time and then they show it to you. They're making people remember illusions because our Wethersfield's police chief has further predicate acts roles and cover predicate acts to hide the roles with the World Trade Center attack. Now, these are people also involved with Bravo, with ad placements. Bravo, please respond. Please do what's right for journalism. I'm not a legalized journalist. We have journalism that attach me to conspiracy theories with lawyers, also recorded and involved with the predicate acts with the courts and our wrongdoing, with wire crimes, on their side, wrongdoing or predicate acts. In other words, simply and sequence shift, identity thefts, frauds. Now they have criminal readings of statutes out of sequence that show this, where and how also it is evidence where they're preventing mandated law by preventing sequence shifts that show evidence fabrications, that show predicate acts. They're preventing that from being told, mandated law from being followed. They have crime methods interstate. This is worse than interstates maintain the outcome. But the police departments, with other police departments, because fact chiefing nature wise, you're only going to see the Wethersfield police. You're only going to see people dressed up as police. But they are involved with other agencies like FBI, former director of FBI, Robert Luskin down. This is since before it is recorded. Robert Mueller and James Comey are involved with sequence shifts and with remote uses of Congress originally still, remote uses of the various natures of courts originally still, all of them, on off the state judicial branch offices. There was a Fianza family, also sought me out as strangers to confess, record, demonstrate, confirm that they're going to verify that and how their roles with the Dillon family and other retired and standing police and people on off the Connecticut judicial branch offices in Wethersfield, Connecticut, involved intercities with them, with predicate acts, with Fox Connecticut News, and with WFSB. Worse than no remorse. Worse than conspiracy theories against other people. They attach me to fake words, fake locations, fake sequence relationships. They have crime roles with child offenders, even sexual and medical at the same time. Now we need to get those doctors onto paper too with the judges, various natures of courts, fake conversations with me, forging names, switching names, dozens and dozens of people tied to a Leahy family with through time predicate acts with child databases, with campuses. Now these are the people involved with the reactions to the problems to the patterns, with the shootings at schools that are used to further predicate acts through the kids through their time. We're going to see sexual circles interbranch. We're going to see drug cliques interbranch. Same ones pretending to be against such. Uses of the phenomenon anomaly with database relationships like medical databases, forged names, switch names, fake conversations with doctors. Forced to be in the presence of ones after that too. I told them too. like this Dr. Zeman. He's recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with a Judge Killian involved with crimes with Facebook, sequence shifts, with predicate acts with this Leahy family, with other doctors I don't even know the name of. These are some sick people with our hospitals. We have a Detective Samuda involved with a bunch of aged women and little girls, and further his crimes with child sex offenders' families, interbranch. And these are people with policing influences over the policing of like strip malls, and and of the military. We have the military criminally foreign influence. Delusions were originally instilled easily. Attention to detail not. Boxing, get hot. Respond for them. Respond for them. Each branch of government in the military now. Now it's on you that I have to ask the military, because I warned you about this. You have a Joshua Stryker and you have a Justin Klavinskis, also recorded, involved with fake recorded things, spreading categorical lies, slanders against people behind their backs, their roles with database crimes, with judges, with military police, with their family members, involved with doctors, with child sex offenders, even veterinarians. Now you respond for the Wethersfield police. Have them pick one name in sequence. Get out the paper now. Respond for this officer poisoning. You coward little punk with child sex offenders. Then you send punks to my house pointing guns. You little coward punk. Pick one name, sequence. Get those judges from the forging names and switching names with child offenders, even sexual. We have women judges involve women prosecutors with a whole bunch of people recorded and confessed. There's a Brian Silver. I never had a class with him. A bunch of people with my town's police chief's daughter. Jessica Cintron, reportedly. I never had a class with her either. A whole bunch of people tied to her husband's family members, involved with crimes against me and my family, where they fake passions. They're sequence shifting, identity thefts, evidence is crime, typing lies and illusions on Facebook, because their roles with their business is also criminally involved. And like the corners, both of the at least two of them, at least two and one that closed years ago, associated with people that influence bakeries, to illusions with the interbranch and the prisons tied to them and the campuses tied to them. And what is recorded uses of them remotely, where they have live progressions recorded needed to all spots, all locations, areas, and states. They need each phase of fact treatment nature hurt and or similarly taught and or sickly taught correlation as negative value natures, criminal and seditious natures. You learn this term, this phrase, criminal and seditious nature. America. Don't let them pretend like they have another election on Wethersfield town offices and respond for Wethersfield schools. Recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with a whole bunch of people tied to the daughter of the town, the police chief, involved with predicate acts with them, with identity thefts, falsified police reports, forging names, switching names. You coward sons of bitches. You pick one name in sequence, and that's what they have tied to them going a bit. Then now they can't do a service check. They can't write honestly about anything related to this now. They've been forging names and switching names. Worse, with child offenders already on the list since before that was caught. Get me out into paper now. They have a Morin family. Mayor Morin, the Wethersfield town police chief, and a Vega family. And people associated with CCSU are involved also with all other higher levels of politicians through time and their family members, involved with predicate acts, wrongdoing, sequence shifts, identity theft, fraud, racketeering, roles with falsified police reports, human trafficking, where they attach people to different false locations. Now they've been using conspiracy theories, and they've been using the policing of the internet to disqualify legitimate information, because they've been handing lies to presidents. They've been lying about what presidents they've been called presidents liars and hiding all criminal exceptions. They have been employed to keep the only counters to things like wars and all kinds of crazy manifest things in collusion in collusion with what keeps wars needed, what keeps them justified, what keeps so we have fake sides. Fake sides are pretending not to realize when they pretend that when they're the only ones in control of virtually mutually assured destruction. They love that phrase. Who prays? It's time, all rise. The Quran and the Old Testament are about the law. They're about how the stewards of the Quran, about how the stewards of the Old Testament are criminally enforced, criminally seized as dangerous, in collusion with the branches of government, in collusion with private database relationship stewards, in collusion with the engaging nature of campus, in collusion with that further into sciences abridged. Respond for them. I hear about theater about titles. Let's look at the exceptions, where and how titles never had credibility. That's evidence when you bring up Jim Crow laws or play knowledge on us here. This is Romulus science. Yes, boxings. It tells us things. YouTube.com/user/Romulus Wall. My name is Anthony Wall. This is my YouTube channel. Romulus Science. ROMULUSWLL. User/Romulus Wall. One word. YouTube.com/user/Romulus Wall. Now we'll have mandated law followed here, y'all. So now the branches that I caught them, they have been what they do. They forge names and switch names and they falsify fake recorded things in the databases. They were had to use that because their roles with predicate acts when I was a kid at my campuses behind my back. They weren't even in my classes. They're exploiting a phenomenon with fact-checking nature when people bring up bullying and stuff like that, for example. That makes, if you try to talk about stuff, it makes it look like you had ties to those people. And they put little creeps involved with that. And so then you sound like a bully yourself. We have some bad, sick courts, and we had them already sick. You can't read that. I'll show you how. Fake branches bow. AG, it's time. Remote uses of the FBI of New Haven. A spot of family saw me out as strangers. I only know this from the context. Strangers tied to the people further involved with child sex offenders and with a Delafair family with the judges and their family members, with probate courts, with drug crimes, formal and informal. They have some sick doctors forging and switching names too long with the delusions raw courts and lawyers involved with them with crimes, pretended recorded things. Boxings, follow mandated law for them. They're wire crimes, denying things over the phone. They are true. Fake conversations over the phone. They're forging and switching names into branch. They prevented writing law. They prevented anything writing criminally by consciously criminally putting charges and exploiting all exceptions. In other words, they presented falsified police reports and roles with that. Wrongdoing, and get worse. Predicate acts also has people involved, like with this lady family and the judges, various natures of courts. There are drug cliques and sexual circles involved with the predicate acts further on off the campuses. Just a matter of time. I shouldn't have to ask you time. You should respond real fast and pick one name in sequence now and say you're sorry to Judge Napolitano now, Wethersfield Police Chief. And Bravo, make sure this happens because he's involved with traffic crimes, DMV and DOT, and their family members also involved with state police involved with this. And they have the phrase perfect world involved with this. It is time to clean the delusions and the criminal foreign influence out of the fake theater, self-value. You think that's politics? You think that's critical thinking when they speak? CT must leak. Yes.